The Bible Study Podcast, episode 760. Today, the Bible Study Podcast starts a study of the minor prophet Micah. Welcome to the Bible Study Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Christensen. We're going to jump into Micah today, and Micah is one of the minor prophets, as we said, and Micah's not quite as short as Obadiah. The book of Micah has 7 chapters, so we'll be spending 7 weeks on this particular book. There's going to be some phrases from it that are going to be familiar to you if you've heard the Christmas story. But other than that, I'm not sure that you know Micah. Micah is a prophet who is after the prophet Obadiah that we talked about. The minor prophets, unfortunately, are neither arranged alphabetically, at least in English, nor are they arranged chronologically. And so he is a contemporary of Hosea and Isaiah and Amos. And then he prophesies during the reigns of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah. Hezekiah being probably the best of those 3 kings. Jotham, who is the son of Uzziah, inherits a strong government, inherits a good kingdom, but is not the good king his father was, or not as good. And that's going to frame some of what Micah is talking about. The word of the Lord came to Micah of Moresheth during the reigns of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah. The vision he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem. Hear you peoples, all of you. Listen, earth and all who live in it, that the sovereign Lord may bear witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. So one of the things we learn right away is this book is written down, or at least brought together, at the end of Hezekiah's life, or maybe after Hezekiah's life, because we already know who the 3 kings are. And so it wasn't written in order. He writes a section here when Hezekiah is king, and then he writes a section when Ahaz is king, and then later on a section with Hezekiah. This first paragraph, at least, knows during which reigns he is a prophet. And then basically starts, as so many of the prophets do, with, bear my witness against you, the Lord from his holy temple. The reason you call in a prophet is because you've got something to say, and God has called in Micah. Judgment against Samaria and Jerusalem. Look, the Lord is coming from his dwelling place. He comes down and treads on the heights of the earth. The mountains melt beneath him, and the valleys split apart, like wax before the fire. Like water rushing down a slope, all this because of Jacob's transgression, because of the sins of the people of Israel. What is Jacob's transgression? Is it not Samaria? What is Judah's high place? Is it not Jerusalem? Therefore I will make Samaria a heap of rubble, a place for planting vineyards. I will pour her stones into the valley and lay bare her foundations. All her idols will be broken to pieces, all her temple gifts will be burned with fire. I will destroy all her images. Since she gathered her gifts from the wages of prostitutes, as the wages of prostitutes, they will again be used. So what Micah is saying, now Micah is a prophet who is being sent to the southern kingdom, to the kingdom of Judah, unlike some of the prophets we've talked about who were sent to Moab or who were sent to the northern kingdom of Israel. Micah is going to be preaching this whole time here in the southern kingdom, and the first thing he says is, you're letting the people of the northern kingdom and what they're doing and their unfaithfulness to God rub off on you. This is, therefore I will make Samaria a heap of rubble. Right? Aren't your sins the sins of Samaria? Samaria is that northern kingdom, that kingdom of Israel. And so is not your high place, is it not Jerusalem? The high places being the other places you worshipped other than the temple in Jerusalem. And quite often you're worshiping other gods. And so again, we got that same problem that keeps coming back in all of these things. And in this particular case, it's saying part of the root of your problem are your brothers up there in the north, and you're doing what they're doing, and therefore you should know they're going to get destroyed, as we heard from the other prophets. So Micah is also writing pre-destruction of Israel, and also then, as with most of the rest of the prophets, pre the Babylonian captivity. It goes on, weeping and mourning. Because of this I will weep and wail. I will go about barefoot and naked. I will howl like a jackal and moan like an owl. For Samaria's plague is incurable. It has spread to Judah. It has reached the very gate of my people, even to Jerusalem itself. Tell it not in Gath, weep not at all. In Beth Ophrah, roll in the dust, pass by naked and in shame, you who live in Shaphir. Those who live in Zaanan will not come out. Beth Ezel is in mourning. It no longer protects you. Those who live in Maroth writhe in pain, waiting for relief, because disaster has come from the Lord, even to the gate of Jerusalem. You who live in Lachish, harness fast horses to the chariot. You are where the daughter Zion began, for the transgression of Israel were found in you. Therefore you will give parting gifts to Morsheth Gath. The town of Akzib will prove deceptive to the kings of Israel. I will bring a conqueror against you who lives in Marashah. The nobles of Israel will flee to Adullam. Shave your head in mourning for the children in whom you delight. Make yourself as bald as the vulture, for they will go from you into exile. Okay, there's a lot of place names in there, which I'm going to get to in a second. But first, we have this overall thing here of when you hear this news that God is going to destroy Israel and that you are afflicted with the same plague, this incurable plague that has spread to Judah, that the appropriate response is the wailing and weeping and going about naked and rolling in the dust and being ashamed. And then that we're going to be doing that all over the place. So let's start with that, is we're going to be doing that in many different places. Now, the particular names of the places are significant because the word Gath sounds like Hebrew for tell. The Beth Ophrah means the house of dust. And so again, we're thinking of that repenting in dust and ashes. Shaphir means pleasant. Za'anan means the Hebrew for come out. Maroth sounds like the Hebrew for bitter. Akzib means deception. And Marashah sounds like the Hebrew for conqueror. And so I will bring a conqueror against you who live in and the city that sounds like conqueror. The town of Akzib will prove deceptive. The town of Akzib, which means deception. Okay, get it? There's all this double meaning here with all of the place names. Tell it not to Gath, which sounds like to tell. In Beth Ophrah, roll in the dust, and Beth Ophrah means the house of dust. Pass by naked and in shame who live in Shaphir, and Shaphir means pleasant. I don't get that one. That's probably the only one that I haven't gotten so far. And then Za'anan, those who live in Za'anan will not come out. In Za'anan sounds like the Hebrew for come out. So he's basically making a play on words of all of these places to get across his point about the response of the people and what it should be to this terrible news that they have contracted the plague that is going to get Israel destroyed. And that plague is the worship of false gods. And with those cheerful words, I think we'll end this episode of the Bible Study Podcast. If you have any questions, send an email to host@thebiblestudypodcast.com, or better yet, leave a comment on this episode at thebiblestudypodcast.com. And thanks so much for listening.
Hey there, it's Nicole Eunice, host of the How to Study the Bible podcast, where every single week we join together to encounter God through His Word. You can subscribe at lifeaudio.com.